Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. This is a follow-up of the phone conversation between the American President Donald Trump and the Russian President Vladimir Putin that occurred yesterday. An historic conversation, an admission of loss, I would say, or of impotence and limitations coming from one side, and I think the elevation of the Russian Federation to an equal to the big dog of the planet. It is very sad, unfortunate, and criminal to see that a country, in this case Russia, needed a war and have hundreds of thousands, I was about to say million, of thousands of victims, not only Russians, Ukrainians as well, to be recognized as an equal. So Russia got respect through a war? Well, I have here about 10 articles to show you the reaction to this. NATO's reaction, Zelensky's reaction. Zelensky had a conversation with Trump later that day, yesterday. I will show you how the Russians are viewing this, how the summit and where the summit between the two leaders will occur, and more. So let's start with the first topic, which is coming from Ukrainska Pravda. Zelensky holds conversation with Trump. So let's start with the beginning. It's obvious as of now that this guy is out of the loop. That means you're on a dead end. President Volodymyr Zelensky had a telephone conversation with US President Donald Trump on the evening of the 12th of February, which is yesterday. Earlier on Wednesday, Trump announced that he had a phone conversation call with the Russian ruler, Vladimir Putin. So, we have Vladimir Putin first. Zelensky was informed what he needs to do. Trump says Zelensky ready for peace. So this is from the 12th of February. The US president made the comment after speaking on the phone with both the Ukrainian and the Russian leaders on Wednesday. So that means Trump spoke with Putin, tested the water, and then he called Zelensky and he said, Zelensky, this is what's going on. You're going to get this list, and as the Pentagon told you at the beginning of all this, and CIA, it's time for you to get lost. Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky is eager to put an end to the hostilities with Russia. US President Donald Trump has stated. He added that Russian President Vladimir Putin would also like to resolve the conflict. Excellent. The problem is under whose terms? Well, if they don't fix it now, that will explode again. And I think this is just an armistice. I think it's just a postponement of something else. If you think that the big interests in the West, which unfortunately shows its limitation regarding Russia, if you think that they will stop, no, they will try to cooperate and get in Russia through the back door. They tried through the front door to kick the door in. Next one. Ukrainska Pravda. Trump refuses to call Ukraine an equal participant in peace talks. Again, this is from the 13th of February. So what does that mean? That means that the Europeans, and I'm going to show you the Europeans' reaction, is just a reaction for the population. They know their place. He's telling us, Trump, what I told you many, many times before. Ukraine is just a sidekick over there used by big influence, like United States of America is used by big interest. But it's higher on the food chain, let's put it this way. So Trump tells these guys, you're gonna be in the room and keep quiet over there. The deal is between the CEOs here, not the flight attendant over there or something. Right, next one. Let's see what. How should I put it? How I put it straight. How baboonish the defense secretary or the defense minister of Ukraine, the Tatar Umerov, is. He's delusional. This is what he says after Trump clearly United States of America so far dropped them. Remember in a video I made yesterday with the phone conversation, I mentioned over there the defense secretary who said no troops in Ukraine, no military presence, American military presence as peacekeepers. And unfortunately, Ukraine will not be in NATO, and it probably have to give away some of its territories since it's not going to be at the same border it used to be in 2014. So that means that's it. I blocked your entry. I'm going to show you what the Rutte, the current boss, NATO boss, he's just a secretary. You know what secretaries do? Follow what the director says. The director is the United States of America. But let me show you in the meantime how Umerov delusionally, the point is these guys do not want to say it, and why would they? Hey guys, we lost. Nice try, unfortunately, so many victims, but hey, we didn't lose. It's kind of like a draw, kind of like we won. No, it's not like that at all. Ukrainska Pravda. Ukraine wants to be in NATO, and it will be. Ukraine defense minister says in response to Pentagon's chief remarks. So this Tatar from Ukraine says that Ukraine wants to be in NATO, and it will be. I mean, how... I understand that when we were kids, we thought that maybe we're Superman and we're Spider-Man or whomever, God, or whomever we thought, Hercules. Make believe, we thought. But reality is different. You can't. You can try. You can try. So Umerov doesn't want to... they don't want to lay down the arms. We'll see how Ukraine, or the guys who think they're in charge of Ukraine, they really believe they are in charge of Ukraine. There's going to be a rupture. Are they going to follow the orders or not? Are they going to say, yes, we're going to cooperate, United States of America, or they say, well, we got the money, we're going to go rogue. I suspect they will. Some of them will cooperate, which will get their bags and be allowed to live in London or New York or somewhere in the West, I don't know, Florida, Tahiti, or Bahamas. And some of them will say, no, we're not going to surrender to the Russians, and poof, they will just disappear by their own people. Next one. Let me show you what Trump says with Ukraine and NATO. According to Russia Today, from the 13th of February, Trump okay with keeping Ukraine out of NATO. The US and Russia leaders have agreed to begin Ukraine peace talks with membership in the military bloc off the table. So, what's going on with you, Umerov? As I said, he's just delusional or doesn't want to lay down the weapons yet. Who knows who's behind this guy and how many threats he encounters from the people surrounding him. All right, next one. Ukrainska Pravda. Trump plans to meet with Putin in Saudi Arabia. Now this raises another question. Until yesterday, Putin was considered a criminal and a strong man, and nobody would talk to him. He was a bad dude. The same was Mohammed bin Salman, remember? The effective, or in effect, the ruler of Saudi Arabia. He was considered a murderer and all that for allegedly orchestrating the death of Khashoggi. Now I got it right. Because I couldn't remember yesterday, Khashoggi. All right, I read some of your comments in yesterday's video, and yes, thank you very much, Khashoggi or Khashoggi. So then Mohammed bin Salman now is friends again, is rehabilitated. He had, if you remember, that summit in Riyadh, I think it was, in Saudi Arabia, where he was the organizer, the master blaster of the Ukraine summit. They all came over there, all the Westerners came over there. So they agreed that this guy is no more a criminal. So now, overnight, Putin is not a criminal. How is this possible? Well, it's been before, it's happened before. Gaddafi became a criminal overnight. Saddam Hussein became a criminal overnight. Many, many others that these guys supported when they didn't follow orders anymore, they were called that way. I said this many, many times. So Saudi Arabia, so one criminal, this is just a joke, okay? One criminal would organize a summit between a good guy and another criminal. Is that how it goes? Now, Another one right here. Putin-Trump summit on the way, Kremlin confirms. So spokesman Dmitry Peskov has welcomed the US administration's desire to reach peace in Ukraine. It is hard to overestimate the significance. Let's see, where do we have is here? The call on Wednesday marked the first known conversation between the US and Russia since the It is unlikely that Kiev would regain all of his territory. We got that. So that would be they're all happy about it. Excellent, excellent. I hope they are, adults. At the same time, Peskov would not confirm or deny Trump's remarks that Saudi Arabia would host a summit between the two leaders. He also did not provide any timeline for a potential Trump-Putin meeting or when Russian and American work groups could get down to negotiations. And I'm quoting, there is definitely a need for such a meeting to be held promptly. The heads of state have a lot to talk about. It is also impossible to speculate on any deadlines at this point because the work will only begin these days. Now, this is how adults talk, not baboons calling you this and calling you that. Next one. Let's see how someone who is still around, and his name is John Bolton, views, he calls it Trump's capitulation or surrender to Putin. I have to tell this baboon, who was an advisor and all that in the White House, president's advisor, that it's not Trump who surrendered. It's the whole apparatus behind Trump. Trump over there, he can't do, I think, what he does without the guys behind saying, do that. I think Trump is just used as a scapegoat right now to be called later if things hit the fan as, oh my God, he got us in trouble, or he's used to save face for the failure of destroying Russia. So here is Bolton for you. He got it right, but he is minimizing the defeat and points as the loser being Trump, not Biden, whomever got these guys started. Ukrainska Pravda. Trump's former advisor says Trump has effectively surrendered to Putin. This guy is still around right there. John Bolton, let's see what he says. By making these and other concessions before negotiations even started, Trump has effectively surrendered to Putin on Ukraine. Russia's military performance have been miserable, but Trump is vindicating Putin's decision to invade. Well, let me tell you this. Russia, if Russia would have been losing, nobody would have spoken with Putin, including Trump. They would have gone on and on and on until Russia would have pulled the big guns with nuclear weapons, and everything would have been stopped right there on the tracks. Nothing. So, no, it's not true. The Russians are actually in Ukraine, advancing in Pokrovsk, in Toretsk, in Slovyansk, in, in Kharkiv, Kharkov. They're advancing. In Zaporozhye, it's nothing that the Russians, is not true, that the Russians are laying down, they're miserable. They fought NATO, they didn't fight Ukraine. So what Bolton wants? He wants really military action from the Americans in the name of some certain interest who support this imbecile. So, and the other one is making concessions to Putin before the negotiations start. Well, you can promise, you can say, well, no this, no that, and when you meet, you change your tune. They always do this. I get you to the negotiation table, and over there, we change. I said, no, I disagree with that. Yeah, I said it, but there are details, or I change my mind. They always do this. So again, what is America supposed to do? Put more sanctions? What other aces United States of America has against Russia? What others? They impose sanctions. They threaten the rest of the world. If they cooperate with Putin, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. BRICS is growing and going. They have a bank now. The dollar will be limited as a, world currency. It's a reserve, whatever it is, reserve currency. So what are you going to do with this? You need to stop at one point. Someone's losing. Who's that? Not Bolton. Bolton leaves by saying this kind of things. So let me show you how these guys live out They feel left out on the cold, in the cold. Ukraine+Europe demand her role as Trump announces peace talks with Putin. Demand. How can you demand when you are servants? Well, servants don't demand. You fire them and you get someone else, or you slap them around. I think the second option is the first option, actually. So what are they talking about? Ukraine and Europe. Europe is under American occupation. Europe is just an extension. It's just as I said, Al Capone and his plantation. Great Britain is the eager beaver, the house servant. That's all. Then when US says Great Britain says, yes, where do I start shit? That's what Great Britain's role is. What's Europe? Germany? They have American troops in Germany. About 70-some thousand, including nuclear weapons. American troops. How many troops do Germans have in United States of America? What are you talking about? Who else matters over there in Europe? Who else? France? Macron is a weasel. He also agrees to make deals with India, and you'll see Macron being one of the next ones making a call to Putin. I guarantee you that. And he said, I always thought that diplomacy should play the main role here. They're all going to be pacifists right now. All of them. And none of them will agree that, hey, we lost. And Ukraine. I know Ukraine demands, but Ukraine, you played your role after ignoring the Minsk Agreement 2 from 2015. So, sorry. You played this thinking that you're going to fight the Russians and you're going to beat the Russians. They have nuclear weapons. Are you baboons? No, you demand. You don't demand anything. Go back over there, sit down and shut the fuck up. Unfortunately, and I'm not talking about the Ukrainian nation, about the guys in charge who stole the Ukrainian nation, I think, independence, because this is losing your sovereignty and independence. How much you had? Next one. Let's see how NATO issues warning to Putin. Remember, this imbecile, Rutte, okay, that shows a sign here, flip the birds here, the bird, he is just a secretary general, he's the secretary general of NATO. That means he was appointed with America's push and approval. If America tomorrow wants him to go, he's going. He's going to be Tom Jones. If they want Tom Jones, the new secretary general of NATO, Tom Jones will be. My Delilah is going to be over there portrayed as whatever, the new flag. Believe me, this is the secretary. He takes notes and makes phone calls and sometimes makes statements. The statements he makes can be slapped around. Tomorrow, he's not going to issue any warnings. What's the warning? If you dare to attack any NATO country, we will destroy you. That's the warning. And Putin is like, it was never about such a thing. It was you coming towards me, and I slapped your beak right now. Punk, 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 just like that. So let's read this little thing. Mark Rutte has said the US-led military bloc would crush Russia if the country attacks member states. This is like saying you. Let's say you go down the street, no, go outside, and you have a neighbor, and you're in a good relationship with your neighbors. And then he says, Gigi, if you try to, how's that put, violate or rape my wife, I will destroy you. And you're like, was there any hint I would do that? Wasn't a conversation? Why would you say? I mean, it's like, what? Or if you try to steal my car, neighbor, I will destroy you. What gave it away? What the hell? It's like, what? Go back and watch whatever you've been watching or smoking, what you've been smoking. The same with this guy. I issue warning. He just tries to make to feel important and to show that NATO actually is there. No, NATO lost. But he has some time to accept that. For the baboons, I mean, the whole globe is interpreting it like that. Only baboons will say, oh yeah, we gave Russia a new chance. NATO Secretary General comments on Trump-Putin phone. So this is comments, and the Russian says he issues warning. Yeah, because if you read this guy, this is what he says. It is crucial when a peace deal is struck that is enduring, that Putin knows this in the end, and that he can never again try to capture a piece of Ukraine. You just gave it away. You lost. So that he has to be part of those negotiations, and no doubt that it's also on the mind of President Trump and the American team. So he's afraid. He knows who's the boss, or at least Americans, and he just says, oh, I'm gonna warn you. So this comes from Ukraińska Pravda, and the other guys say the same thing. They'll just Russia is more likely to use military force if it perceives NATO as a military weakness. But yeah, sorry, if you go like this, the same thing works for you going towards Russia for so many years, advancing. So yeah, if you aggress, let's say Yugoslavia, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, it's most likely more likely you're going to attack Iran. Most likely you're going to attack what? You're not going to attack North Korea because they can fuck you up. Has nuclear weapons. So you go, and I think the 80 million people in Iran will also give you a smack. But hey, you follow orders. You know whose orders? Okay. Now, here it is, my friends. Main points. Putin, Trump would not have done what he did if the guys behind him, which is the military-industrial complex, the Pentagon, CIA, and financial, economic, industrial, energy interest, didn't allow him. They told him, yes, save face by talking. And it doesn't mean that this is going to have any fruitful end. Like, oh my God, peace on earth of our time. Doesn't mean anything. They're just going to meet. Maybe. Why? I suspect, and I said it before, that some big negative event will occur in this country, in the United States of America. The mass media will say, oh, see, that's the result of appeasing Hitler again. All right, stop. And they try to, I don't know, something is going to happen. That's my gut feeling. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.